corner 1, we have the King of Diamonds. And in corner 2, we have Terry the Skelly.
Wait a second! That's not karate!
Hello. So, recently I had a resurgence in my love for the Karate Kid movie, an 80s classic that many people have loved and enjoyed for a very long time. But I found out that not only are there 2 sequels that I had no idea existed, but also a Netflix series featuring the infamous bully Johnny Lawrence as the series lead. You see, contrary to the title of this video, the show is called Cobra Kai, not Cobra Cringe. But it's both in spirit. Because despite the first season or 2 of the show being genuinely awesome, the rest is just teen drama, super edgy anime stuff. The people in this show treat rivalry between dojos like it's an all-out war. People try to kill each other! Now, just as a warning, there will be a lot of spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen the show and you want to go see it, go do that first and come back to this video when you're done. I'll wait. Is that guy gone now? We good? Alright, let's get into this. Cobra Kai, as I said, centers around Johnny Lawrence, who was the main antagonist of the original Karate Kid movie. He bullied and terrorized Daniel LaRusso as a new kid in town who was in love with Johnny's ex-girlfriend, though we discover in Cobra Kai that they apparently weren't actually broken up, they just had a fight or something. I don't know. But anyway, Daniel didn't know what he got into because Johnny was the top student at an evil karate dojo called Cobra Kai. And so he beat up Daniel, and this started a long rivalry between them. So Daniel learnt karate in like 6 weeks and kicked Johnny Lawrence in the face at a karate tournament. Flash forward to present day, Johnny is old, divorced, his son Robbie hates him, he hates his job, which he gets fired from in the first episode, and he's an alcoholic. His life is hell, and he spends every day believing that his failures can all be tied back to the fight he lost against LaRusso, who is now a successful businessman who runs a car dealership.
Customer leaves with their very own bonsai tree. We kick the competition.
Okay, buddy. One day, Johnny meets Miguel, a loser nerd who's getting harassed by some kids in his school, so Johnny beats him up, saves Miguel, leading to a friendship that will be an emotional anchor of the whole show. Johnny becomes Miguel's karate sensei and revives Cobra Kai, which leads to Daniel starting up his own dojo to fight against Johnny's, because he believes the Cobra Kai way of life, strike first, strike hard, no mercy, is not something that should be taught to kids. For the first couple seasons, this show is cool, funny, and clever in its character development. The way that Miguel grew up without a father, so Johnny serves as his father figure, the same one he wishes he could have been to his real son, Robbie. Daniel LaRusso, who is kind of the secondary main character of this show, has his life cut out for him. He's wealthy, married with children, and now becomes the father figure of Johnny's real son, which just makes Johnny hate him even more. The fights are great, the jokes are great, the characters are great, so what happened? Netflix happened. You see, this show started off being funded by YouTube. It was an underground project that grew very popular until Netflix bought it for season 3 onwards, and the fact that it's run by Netflix in the later seasons shines through in all the worst ways. The early charisma and cool characters are still here, and the story is still entertaining. But not because this show is a believable story, but because it basically becomes an anime from the 3rd season onwards. Now, don't get me wrong, this show was always ridiculous, but from this point forwards, it's unimaginably so. The characters treat karate the same way people treat Beyblades in the Beyblade TV show. If these characters can't manage to defeat their opponent, it's the end of the world. People straight up try to kill each other over this stuff. A massive karate war starts up every 10 episodes, including a tournament in season 6 where a kid literally gets stabbed and dies because Sensei Kreese brought a knife to a karate tournament. What? Karate is no longer treated as a sport in this show. It's treated as if it's the absolute most important thing known to man. If Cobra Kai is allowed to continue, an entire generation will be poisoned with its evil ideas and beliefs. Not to mention the fact that people get into fights over some really petty things all the time. Johnny and Daniel's rivalry is cool for the first season, but it later becomes unbearable because most of the reasons they hate each other are based mostly mostly off of misunderstandings. Daniel thinks Johnny did this when he didn't, and Johnny thinks Daniel did this when he didn't, but neither work it out because neither of them say that they didn't do it or even bother to prove themselves to be trustworthy to each other. It's exhausting. I can only handle so much of it. And I know that Johnny is hot-headed, but man, can Daniel be a bully himself sometimes. He has so many entitlement issues in the later seasons of the show, and he always thinks he's right about everything and can't comprehend the idea that Johnny could be right, because it's not the Miyagi way! That's not to say they don't have times when they're not arguing. They do all in all get along by season 5, but it isn't without the hiccups that shouldn't even be happening at this point. By season 5, the plot point of them not getting along should be fully resolved, so the show can focus on their friendship instead. I can only handle so many scenes where they both get into a fight stance and a gong sound effect goes off in the background. So what about the kids? Well, the kids, whilst enjoyable characters majority of the time, the drama between them is even more exhausting than Johnny and Daniel's petty feuds. Let me give you a rundown. So Miguel, who is for most of the show Johnny's star pupil, he falls in love with a girl named Samantha who happens to be Daniel LaRusso's daughter. Whoopsie! Now this makes for a funny scenario as both of them are part of rival dojos, but rather than leaning more into that, they focus more on teenage romance drama. So Robbie becomes friends with Sam once he moves in with the LaRussos, which upsets Miguel because he starts getting worried he'll lose Sam to Robbie, so he gets aggressive. And a scene that mirrors the beat scene from the original Karate Kid movie plays out when Miguel parallels Johnny Lawrence and Robbie parallels Daniel LaRusso. This obviously does not end well for Miguel as he gets dumped, and Sam later falls in love with Robbie and they end up together instead. At this point, Miguel is sad and angry, but a girl named Tori joins Cobra Kai, which leads to them getting close and Tori pulls out the moves on Miguel. And now they are dating. So the show features scenes of them going on dates, but whoopsie, Sam just happens to be hanging out at the same place at the same time because the plot needs her to see them together and get upset. So Tori does everything she can at this point forward to make Sam look bad in front of Miguel, which doesn't work in the long run because at a party, Tori sees Miguel drunkenly kissing Sam, which leads to a school karate war the following day, where Tori fights Sam and cuts her arm. And Robbie, after losing a fight against Miguel, decides, whoa, I guess I better kick Miguel off the tall balcony, which leads to this. We will be shown this clip many times later in the show in slow motion. So now Miguel's in hospital and Robbie and Sam are no longer together. Although later when Miguel gets out of hospital, he wins Sam back and Robbie and Tori start dating as well. Just because Robbie joins Cobra Kai, and now there's an awful scene where Tori and Robbie are dancing very suggestively and Miguel and Sam can't stop staring at their exes. Then later on, Miguel leaves to Mexico because he wants to find his father, and Sam is angry and upset at him for doing such a thing because how dare he want to find himself. And once he returns disappointed with the fact that his father is a bad person who probably runs a drug cartel, goes to Sam with a fancy necklace to apologize. Sam breaks up with him saying now she must find herself and what her life is outside of karate and him. And then when she finally decides to take him back, the classic teen rom-com scene of a girl walks into party looking for boy, sees boy making out with other girl, then is seen by boy, but the boy just happens to stop making out at the exact same moment the girl walks in. She attempts to leave, he runs after her. Once again, Miguel must apologize. Even though this was after he was dumped by her, it was still stupid of him to do, so she takes him back and accepts his apology, and nothing consequential happens from that, which leaves me to wonder why the party scene was even included, or even why we needed all of this stuff just to establish Sam and Miguel as a couple. And I probably left a lot of stuff out because I can't remember all of the soap opera stuff that goes on in the series.
Should've known.
I honestly feel like I'm watching Riverdale at this point. Have your anime scene. This show is mentally unstable, and I love it so much. Oh yeah, right, I forgot to mention. As ridiculous as this show is, it's so entertaining. It makes no sense for me to like this cringe fest of a TV series, but I do anyway, and I'm proud of it. The characters are likable, the story is compelling, and when a bad guy makes you hate him, you can guarantee the show gives them what they deserve. Conflicts always have a satisfying result, and this show is truly an amazing continuation of the Karate Kid universe. And it made Johnny Lawrence the best character in the whole series, and I will stand by that for the rest of my life. How is this show hilariously dumb and yet so entertaining and so capable of making its audience emotional? I don't know. I honestly think most of the cringy stuff is just intentional at this point, but then again, there are still scenes like this! Cobra Kai! No mercy! Honestly, if you haven't seen it, you should. It's cool, it's fun, it's super cheesy in all the best ways, and if you appreciate 80s nostalgia done correctly, then you'll enjoy it. So, yeah. Cobra Cringe is a show, and it does exist, and you can watch it. Anyway, bye!